Well, hello and good day, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to today's show. My name is Lory Quakenbush. I'm with APMG International out of New York, and I am delighted to be your host today. Now, so the title for our show today is Stop Guessing, Start Measuring Leadership Impact. Now, one of the big questions that we were asked that we're going to be answering today is very common. It's we invested in leadership coaching, but how do we know it's actually working? Does that sound familiar to you? If so, you are absolutely not alone. We're going to get into it today and we're going to help all of our viewers out with that. So do stay tuned. Thanks again to our audience. We really appreciate you guys being here. And we have a lot of folks in attendance today. We have Alanis and Ella are over helping us out in the socials. So get involved. Write in the chat, put your questions in. It's a live show, and we'll go through and answer all these questions live during our show today. So with all that's going on in the world at the moment, it really kind of seems like this is just the opportune time to discuss culture and how you and your organization can really thrive amidst all the absolute chaos and uncertainty we're all going through today. So I think it's just perfect timing. Now we have a very experienced panel today, so we're going to jump right in and meet them. So ladies first. First we have Barbara Trotter. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, how are
How are
you? Thanks
you?
for having me.
Oh my God, we love having you. Now, Barbara is the business owner and leader of Star Coach Leadership, and she spent over 2 decades fostering genuine connections, prioritizing stakeholder needs, and cultivating collaborative environments. And as a leader at the Star Coach Leadership, she specializes in leadership coaching, business relationship management, customer service, business management, and sales. That's quite a bit. It's a lot of stuff, Barbara. How are you?
I'm good. Busy, but good. Yeah.
We can't thank you enough for joining us and bringing up your expertise to the audience today. So thank you.
It's a
And
pleasure
now
to
we
be here.
have,
Thanks.
we appreciate you. And now we have the legendary Mart Rovers, leadership coach, consultant, and trainer. And so he's been educating, coaching leaders, professional, and teams. And that is his passion, what he's been doing for well over 3 decades. Now, Mart works for Star Coach Leadership, which is a coaching, consulting, training, and education firm. And just some ideas of the areas he's specialized in. This is leadership coaching, business relationship management, service management, information security management, and project and change management. And he's going to share some great experience and answer some questions today. So, hi, Mart. Lots of
Hey,
experience. Thanks
Laurie.
for coming.
Do my best as always. Thank you, APMG. Thank you, the whole team. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope it's worth your time. I want to start, like usual, with a quote that I found from Keith Rabois. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Because he was talking about metrics, and he said the key metric of whether you've succeeded is what fraction of your employees. Let me do that again. I'm killing this. What key metric? The key metric of whether you're succeeded and what is the fraction of your employees that's actually using that dashboard every day. That's the key metric.
Interesting. That's a good one. A really
I
good
like it.
quote. And thanks to everybody who's joining in the chats. We see you guys down there. Thank you so much. And I like to go a little rogue, as you know, sometimes here. And before we get into all the live questions that we're going to be going through today, the first question is from me. Just what is STAR? I know what it is, but just so our audience has an idea, can you just explain what STAR is?
I will. Yes. So we're going to talk a lot about STAR. It's an acronym, and the acronym stands for Stop, Think, Ask, and Results. Stop yourself. Is this a coachable moment? Think if it is. So is this the right moment to do some coaching? Coaching in the moment, in essence. And then if it is, ask a powerful question. A question that makes somebody think in terms of, okay, it's okay for me to come up with a solution, make a suggestion instead of me asking and expecting you having all the answers. Then if when these questions occur, you get into a dialogue and you eventually agree on results. That's the R. On, hey, we agreed on doing this. Let's check in and see if it actually worked. So stop, think, ask, and results.
Yeah.
That's the model.
I have to say, I just feel like this is such a unique take on the traditional leadership and
It
other
is.
kinds of training, coaching that's out there. And I do
Yeah.
encourage everybody. We'll do some links and stuff here below, but I do encourage everybody to check out the book. It's the question is the answer, and it's phenomenal. Not just is it
The answer is the
phenomenal,
question.
Yeah.
completely reach. Yeah, the answer is the question. I had it backwards. But not only is this good for, obviously in your business and your career and, managing teams and coaching teams, but also like in everyday life, just with other relationships, I just found this to be impactful, just philosophy I've seen in a really long time. So I'm really glad we're talking about this today. So without further ado, let's get into some questions. All right, let's get into it. We appreciate everybody's live questions. Again, hello, thank you, everybody. Keep the questions coming in, and we're going to try to get to as much as we can. So the first question comes from Sean, and Sean's question is, how can leadership coaching be quantifiably measured? That's a good one. Thank you, Sean. Who wants to take this?
I'll take a first stab at it.
Hey, Mart.
Can we measure coaching? We wouldn't have this episode if we cannot, because we could finish right now. No, it can be measured. Because coaching is not just a soft skill. It's actually more and more considered a strategic capability
Right.
for organizations. Organizations that there's only 1% of employees actually experiencing coaching these days. It's kind of a low number if you think about that. As if it's for the
1%.
privileged. Yeah, it's like, as if it's for the privileged, right? That's just not right. It's not true. So, like in anything that is strategic, you want to measure that. We're into measurements, right? Metrics, right? And the STAR model gives managers a structure. Like I just said, stop, think, ask, results. In other words, it's a habit, becomes a way of acting. And when you repeat this, you can actually start tracking how often did you stop yourself, and
Right.
and take that moment as in a instead of me just answering the question, is this a coachable moment? And I answer that question with a question and make the other person think, right, who's asking the question. So take that pause. How often did you stop yourself? And then ask yourself, did this also result into did this result into what I had in mind? Yes, did it actually work? And by consciously keeping track of that, you can actually count, is this becoming a new habit of mine? It sounds simple, but if you don't keep track of it, you may forget about it, and so much for that in the moment coaching in essence. So there was this example, just to give you a number, a global engineering firm that we were helping, and we were helping them with getting STAR going in the organization, and we actually had one touch point per week with them. That was it, just to constantly remind them. And they measured that the rate of peer collaboration because of STAR increased by 38% in shared decision making, and that was only after 10 weeks. So a 30% increase in shared decision making just because of STAR. And these outcomes, of course, were visible. I mean, if you see that collaboration, that shared aspect going and increasing, by 38%, there's that 10 weeks. That's huge.
That's a huge number. And I think at the end of the day,
Yeah.
especially in the environment we all find ourselves in now, it's just you have to have, results that are measured. It has to happen. Otherwise, people just, just drop it like,
Right.
data. So I just think this is such a powerful thing to be talking about. And I just wanted to give a shout out to it. And we have a lot of folks joining in the chat and so forth. Some people from London and South Africa. So thanks for being here. We love seeing you guys on the chat. So thank you. Now, Barbara, did you want to add anything to this, or should we move on to the next one?
Yes, I did want to build on it just a little bit. I always encourage leaders to ask, where did coaching shift the trajectory, right? In one, education nonprofit that we were working with, they tracked the number of ideas implemented by staff versus leadership. And after STAR, was adopted, frontline ideas tripled within a semester. I mean, it was, Yeah, it was extremely quick. So that tells us something powerful, right? Coaching
Mhm.
gave people their voice back, and that's measurable. So a
Right,
lot of times people wonder about that ROI part of that, and it is measurable.
right. And I know I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name drop, but I know, NBC Universal has taken this on and put thousands and thousands of employees for that, just a little bit
Yeah.
of a name there. And I know I got to meet up with them and they were just couldn't believe how well it went, how well it worked, and just absolutely game changing. So, whether you're,
Yeah.
small firm, an individual, or a massive corporation, I mean, this just works in so many ways for so many people. So just good stuff. All right, guys, let's get to the next question. So the next one is from Victoria. And Victoria's question is, what metrics reveal coaching's true organizational value? That's a really good question, Victoria. Thank you. Who wants to tackle this one?
I will tackle this one.
All right, Barbara.
I'll start. I'll start it. So a lot of organizations focus on output, right? I mean, we can all kind of every organization focuses on output, but the
Yep.
value of coaching, honestly, it lives in ownership, engagement, and decision velocity, right?
Right.
And I'll give an example. How quickly does a team respond to challenges without needing approval,
Right.
right?
Right.
And in one healthcare system that we worked with, we tracked how often issues were actually escalated. And after STAR was introduced, escalations dropped by 34% because the leaders
Wow.
had empowered their teams to think critically. And that's telling just right there. 34%. That's huge. So
That's huge number. Huge numbers.
yeah.
And again, one of the, I know I keep going back to just having some stats here, but the actual case studies and the actual focus groups and things that Star was built upon is built on actual real results and facts, which is phenomenal. You don't always
Yes.
see that, you know. Did you want to add anything to this, Mart, or should we move on?
Just want to highlight what Barbara said. Imagine that when you have a drop in escalations like that, what that means for management, right? If
Right,
you are not being tagged all the time because of an escalation, how much time that actually frees up for you, right? You can even measure that if you want to.
right,
Um, and that's middle management in particular, right? They always struggle with bandwidth. And this is a true blessing for them when they start practicing STAR, that how much time it actually frees up on their calendar.
right,
So another example quickly, in one of my clients that use STAR to help supervisors shift their interactions, what happened is over time, they noticed that managers spend 25% less on redoing work. As in, well, that wasn't done right. Let me do it again, and I'll do it for you. How often does that happen? And
yeah,
that empowerment is something that comes from STAR. People feel empowered. Oh, I can make that decision. Oh, I don't have to ask you next time for permission or approval. Um,
right,
so that reclaimed time actually was replaced by coaching. These managers, instead of having to redo, they started doing a lot more of these coaching in the moment.
right.
So coaching then becomes second nature. It becomes part of the way you lead, manage in essence. And it's easy then to scale, basically, to do this more and more and more because you have the time.
Right. Kind of like retraining the brain, right? And then you get some of
Yeah,
your time back because you're actually spending the
true.
time doing actual coaching instead of redoing the work
Yeah,
of others they didn't do correctly.
exactly.
Just seems
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
just a no-brainer, right? But it's something
yeah.
that people just aren't doing on the regular in most companies. So,
Right. You
um,
don't think about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question. So, next question is from Sarah. Sarah's question is, how do engagement scores reflect leadership effectiveness? You guys are coming up with some good questions here, so thank you. Who wants to tackle it?
Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, engagement scores are often a reflection of whether someone feels seen. And we've talked about it in previous episodes,
Yep.
right? This is where people feel heard, they feel seen, as in, oh, you're actually listening to my ideas, my suggestions, what I think would be best, or how I would take this on. That's engagement right there, and that's
Right.
where STAR again is very powerful. A lot of folks are disengaged these days. The numbers are very worrisome globally. And with STAR, you can get those numbers turned around into something better because people feel more engaged because they get the air time to share ideas and share their thoughts. So coaching does make sure that this in the moment coaching makes sure that people feel seen, they feel supported, they feel heard. And another number here, Gallup found that teams with leaders that coach, these teams feel up to 70% more engaged. And this is Gallup, right? This is not just a made up number. In one logistics company that we were helping, we introduced STAR and we did some check-ins and we saw a 15 points rise in the question, I feel valued by my manager. And then a lot more people check the box, yes. It's the numbers are there. Yeah.
And that's massive. And it comes down to not just, you're talking about obviously effectiveness from your leadership, but also at the end of the day, employee, retention. That's huge. I mean,
it's huge.
Obviously, this is something we've been talking about the series a lot. But I just feel like it really hits home when you're talking about, the employees that feel seen, that are engaged, will stick around longer, right? They're going to stick around. You're not having the amount of money that's spent on, obtaining or retaining employees is so high for most companies, especially now.
Especially now. Yeah.
Did you want to add anything to this, Barbara? Should we move on to the next
one? So I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Mart was saying and, let people know that coaching creates consistency. It really does. When employees know that they have a regular space to reflect, they invest more. They're more loyal, truthfully. In a school district that the team supported, we added STAR, right? As a framework for the mid-year conversations. Something a little different, just trying to spice it up a little bit, right? And that one shift raised their overall engagement score. How much do you think, Lory? How much do you think?
I'm going to throw out 10%.
Keep going, 21%.
Wow.
So yeah, double that, right? So, I mean, that's just, again, these numbers, and just like you were saying, it's all about the numbers. And I mean, these are factual numbers and studies. So over by 21%, that is huge.
Right. That is massive. Absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Love it. This is some good stuff, guys. I know we're really getting into the nitty-gritty here, and I just love it. I really love it. All right, let's keep going. Let's get to the next one. Again, folks, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. If we don't get to all of them, I apologize, but we'll do what we can with the time that we've got. So the next one is from Brian, and maybe we'll kind of zip through some of these. What role does operational coaching play in innovation?
I'll take this one.
That's a juicy one. Thank you, Brian. That's a good one. Who would like to tackle this one? Go ahead, Barbara.
I'll definitely take this one. So innovation. It happens when people think psychologically, right, safe enough to challenge what is operational coaching. When people feel safe, right? It's a different type of feeling, and you get a different response. So operational coaching makes these moments accessible, makes them happen, makes them available for people. It's not a separate process. It's baked into daily work. I know you can see it. Like I'm certain things I'm real passionate about, and this is one of them. So one university department added STAR questions, right, to their product launches. Right. A little different, a little spicy. And the results, within 2 terms, they had 5 new process innovations. And none came from leadership. They all came from, bottom up innovation. So that was, I love that.
Yeah, that's just amazing. It's amazing. And I don't know why this hasn't come out sooner. So thank you for the folks of Creating STAR. I love this so much. So guys, also don't forget, we do have a QR code down there that you can scan. We'll keep putting it up where you can get a free consultation. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's keep going. Mart, did you want to add, or can we move on, because we have tons and tons of live
Let's
questions.
move on.
Here.
Let's move on.
Let's
Yeah,
move
let's
on,
move
guys.
on.
Let's do it. Let's try to get through some of these. Okay, our next question, excuse me, comes from Amanda. Amanda's question is, how can leaders track their development impact? Another good one. Who wants it?
Let me take that. I'll try. Yeah. So, what comes to mind? So, one of the things that happens when you start practicing the STAR model, which is wrapped in that operational coaching concept, that there's a shift from doing to developing. Again, less doing, more of that creative part, basically. So when I coach these leaders to look at their week, or what it is that they spend their time on, and then count how often they enable someone else's thinking versus solving the issue themselves. Yeah, the numbers again are stunning. So I had a VP who once said, when I look at my week, I realized that I was still solving 80% of the issues. 80%. Everybody comes to me, has the questions, and I need to fix it for them or tell them what to do and give them the answers.
Yep.
I mean, 80% is a humongous number. Yeah. So then when they started applying STAR, that dropped to 40%. Literally. When you enable people and they feel heard, as in, hey, I can do this myself, people pick up on that. People want to be heard, as in, hey, I can be of value that way. So when they started using STAR as a keeping track of things and keep putting it in a journal, basically, to reflect weekly, what is it doing for us? Is it actually getting better? It was like a mirror for them.
Right.
Yes. So that's another one, as in, look back, as in, is it actually working? To consciously make this second nature for you. It doesn't happen initially. Typically, you're looking at 10 weeks, 3 months, sometimes longer. As far as, does this actually have an impact? And of course, you have to build in these moments, because it's a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you don't have to think about it anymore.
Right.
It doesn't become.
I love that idea of looking at it as a mirror, like to kind of reflect and to reflect back on what's working, what's not. I think that's a really good metaphor to that. Love that.
It is.
All right, should we keep going, guys? We have tons of questions. We're gonna keep going. Did you want to add anything, Barbara? Okay. Nope. Next one is from Ryan. What changes when managers become enablers? And I love this. I think this is so important. So important. I just love this. Thank you, Ryan.
That's you, Barbara. Go, Barbara.
This is me. there's certain ones that
throw you in, but come on.
So, what changes? The room feels different. There is more energy. There's more ownership. There's fewer eyes waiting for instructions and asking, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? One nonprofit leader that we worked with, they realized, they told me that they realized that I haven't heard my team disagree with me in months. And it's not a sign of alignment. It's a sign that STAR helped her shift, right? Yeah. Within a quarter, her team started leading the meetings. And she went from doing to leading to coaching, right? Yeah. Where she was able to then transform that. So, yeah. So that's huge.
Powerful stuff. And I like what you said, about kind of changing the dynamic of, we've all been there, right? You walk into a room meeting, it's just so heavy, you can feel it, right? Yes. And just the vibe of the room is just everybody's kind of scared, sunk behind their laptops, don't want to talk to anybody. But if you can change that dynamic and have, your employees become actual enablers, then it's just sky's the limit, right? It just changes the whole feel of the entire culture of the company. And those that, are going to kind of grab it and run with it, it will just be game changing, not only for the employees, but also for those managers that not only get their time back, but also, are coaching and are able to lean more on their employees, right?
Yes, that is,
Love it.
yeah.
I love it.
Can I
Mark,
add to
looks like
that?
you want to. No, you can't.
It
I'm
is
just
a
kidding.
it, just quickly, it is a thing these days that organizations strive for more self-leading teams.
Right.
I'm not sure you have picked up on, but initially I thought as in, what is going on here? And I heard examples where it was as in, it was announced and then magic was supposed to happen. People were kind of lost as in, hey, I had a leader and I no longer can fall back on this person. But when you combine that with this, the introduction of STAR, where people are get used to asking these powerful questions, the A for ask, powerful questions such as, "What would you do in this situation?" or "What do you recommend going forward?" or if you would be making this decision, what would be your suggestion, or what would be your decision? These open questions that make people think, that actually activate another part of your brain. So
Yeah.
there's that too. There's some science behind it that is a higher part of your brain that is creative and makes you think in options and thinking that, and this feels good. This must be right. Um, that's what should come with that, directive, as in, you're a self-leading team now. Okay.
Right.
How we feel? Do we feel empowered now? No, of course not. But when you combine that with something like STAR, it does have a much better chance of being successful.
Right. And I will say that, having gone through the book and having some of these great, sessions with you folks and learning so much about it, I really just feel like it does start to become second nature. You just start to kind of
Yeah.
think. They say what you can have a new habit if you stick to something. What 20 is it? 22 days? I forgot what the statistic is, but I've started to notice that I just in my everyday in work I'm starting to ask question with a question, and it just does start to become more of a habit. And then you realize you
Yeah.
are actually, wow, I'm having better conversations with people. I'm getting
Mhm.
more engagement. People aren't like, I don't think I'm very intimidating to begin with, but it's just changes the whole dynamic. So I just love it.
Yeah.
And again, I love the questions, guys. These are really good stuff. And I know I've already done it a couple times, but I'm gonna thank you guys again for joining us, and for Barbara and Mart for giving us all this great direction today. All right, let's carry on. Let's move on. We're got tons and tons of questions. Let's just keep going, guys. We'll get to whatever we can. And again, don't forget, I know I'm harping on this. Go ahead and put some notes in the chat and say hi to us in the socials. We love it. Next question. This is from Jennifer. Jennifer's question is, how does operational coaching improve productivity?
I'll take it.
Okay, Mark.
Well, quickly, operational coaching is the concept that we're talking about. That's where STAR pops up. Operational coaching, coaching in the moment. Not the traditional coaching where you have sit down sessions. Operational coaching, literally, is this a coachable moment? Stop. Is this a coachable thing? So it looks like there will be a few bottlenecks. Let's start there. How it improves productivity. There's more autonomy and smarter decision making because of that. Because you activate that higher part of your brain. At a tech company that we were helping, STAR helped middle managers to reduce turnaround time by 11% in collaborative projects. So maybe not the biggest number, but still, right? Everything counts. And why did this actually happen? Because people weren't waiting from the top folks for a sign off.
Right.
They had that empowerment. They were acting with clarity as far as we know. This is us. We don't have to get permission.
Right. We also kind of touched on this a little bit earlier too. We're talking about kind of the time productivity. If you're can coach, we talked about this on the last event. If you can have a coachable moment when you're walking past somebody in the hallway, rather than having this schedule a formal, sit down, stress and angst. Instead, if you can just have a coachable moment on the fly as you're walking through and doing stuff, that's more increased productivity, right? You're being more productive. You're not taking an hour or two out of your day to sit down and go through all this and have it be, stressful situation. So, I mean, I just think all this impacts productivity. in so many ways. In so many
Right.
ways.
Yeah.
It does.
Do you want to add, Barbara?
Just really quick, I know we have a ton of questions coming in, but I don't want to forget that productive doesn't mean busy. I need to make sure that people really understand that. So STAR conversations reduce noise. I'm going to say that one more time. STAR conversations reduce noise.
Love it.
You always like to get stuff on t-shirts, Lory. So
I do. I love the t-shirt.
So one team said their stand-ups went from 45 minutes to 15 minutes just by STAR, just aligning through STAR. And again, that productivity having an additional 30 minutes to do your job versus having 45-minute conversations and they went to 15 and you're still getting the same impact, if not more.
Right. Huge.
That says a lot. Yeah.
Huge. Huge. All right, guys, we have so many live questions. I know we're not going to get to them all, but we are going to speed it up. I'm a caffeinated New Yorker. We can do that. So we're going to kind of blow through some of these guys so we can try to get to as many as possible. Our next question, this is from John. What are the key indicators of successful leadership development? And if I talk faster, we'll get through these faster.
I got this.
I'm
gonna try to talk a little faster as well. Not gonna say it's gonna work, but we're gonna go for it. Consistency in leadership behaviors. That is huge. Consistency from leadership. You should hear the same empowering language across all different departments, all leadership. I also look at reflection adoption, right? If leaders are consistently using STAR, the development is sticking. So again, it's like habit forming. So if it starts off with one bottom up, top down, bottom up, and it starts sticking.
Yeah, reflection adoption. I like that. I like it. I'm gonna start coming up with a whole line of t-shirts, you and me, but we're gonna do it.
We really are.
We're gonna blow through these guys. We're going at Mach speed here. We're gonna get through as many as we can. All right, Andrew, how can operational coaching reduce employee turnover? I think I already talked about this, but let's talk about it some more. Mart?
Let's do that. Yeah. This is big. And these numbers, I'm going to share a few, but in the early days that the STAR model was actually introduced in the UK by a company called Notion. They had the London School of Economics do a 2-year study. The STAR actually worked 2 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And they actually used 62 companies to see organizations if it actually worked. And they had a whole bunch of control organizations that didn't even know they were a control group. And the numbers was stunning. They're of course published in the book, but employee turnover is one of the benefits of a reduction, of course, of using STAR. When this turnover happens, when people don't feel engaged, empowered, when they feel invisible, as in, I show up, nobody even notices, hypothetically speaking, but coaching makes them visible. Oh, there's a question. Oh, that's a good question. Yes. Or you ask somebody as in, oh, they want to hear from me. They want to hear my opinion. They want to hear what I think to do.
Right.
So people feel and more visible because of it. So one company, they saw a 28% drop in resignations in a 6-month period.
Wow.
You mean, you may say 6. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, imagine, right?
Yeah.
Not having to rehire. How much time and effort and money that is costing you. So why? Simply, again, because people literally said, my manager is finally listening to me.
Right.
I mean, that sounds almost like sad, right? When you think about it.
Right.
Yeah. The people have to conclude, my manager is finally listening to me.
Yeah. Yeah. We've all been there though, right? We've all been there. We've all been in the environment. Like, I'm not heard to care. Somebody's listening to me. Why should I engage? If they don't care about what I have to say, if I'm not bringing any value, like, why am I here?
So true.
So I just think, and I just love, I'm, an ex, Wall Street finance girl. So I think the stats and numbers are so important, especially this day and age. Everybody has to have stuff that's proven. And that's what I love about STAR. I mean, it's actual proven. You mentioned the focus groups and the actual case studies. This is actual tested and there's actual results for this. This isn't just, pie in the sky, us just, pulling, these kind of numbers and stats just out of the blue. I mean, these are actual numbers. So that to
Real
me
deal.
is just so powerful. So powerful.
Yep.
All right, I digress. I will keep going. Again, QR codes, guys. Go ahead and scan QR codes we'll keep putting them up. We've got blogs, all kinds of good stuff for you guys. All right, next question. Because we have to focus on our time. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Next question here. Okay, this one's great. So this is a live question coming in from David. How do we measure the ripple effect of leadership coaching on organizational culture and team dynamics? Whoa, I like that one. Ripple effect. How do we measure that? Mart,
David, yeah, I think David read the book. Great question, David.
David, did you read the book?
So, like you were saying earlier when you mentioned NBC, Lory, when they, you mentioned there were thousands of their leaders went through
They were
this.
amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It's typical that there is a core group that starts this, 10, 15 people. And when they see this works, then that ripple effect begins. As in, I want to also train my direct reports who are also managers, leaders on this. And then they may lead their leaders and so on. That's the ripple effect that David is talking about. By the way, we don't know David, so we didn't pay him to ask this question, but this can actually be measured, right? How many people are actually using STAR? How many are actually reflecting, as in, do I see an increase in me asking powerful questions? Do I see an increase in me stopping myself? Yes. Right. So it becomes a culture. We talked about it in the previous episodes, coaching culture. When you see more and more people practicing operational coaching. And simply, are people actually applying this? Basically, that's what he's asking. As in, can you measure that? Yes. And then, of course, as organization, you should see retention getting better. You should see empowerment numbers getting better, and that people find more time to do, let's say, more coaching on, and have more efficiencies that come from this. So pick a metric. Yes, whatever is important for you. Most likely, we already touched on them in this episode.
Right. I just feel like it can become contagious, but in a good way, right?
Yeah. It's very.
I mean, imagine if you're, all your like-minded coworkers, employees, leadership everybody feels like you're kind of on the same team. Imagine how much that changes the whole game for everybody. And I feel like I know I keep talking about this, but right now, look at the culture. I know we've got folks from all over the world on our call today, but look what's going on here in the States. And just the culture needs to be addressed. And I feel like it's just not done the right way. And I just, I love this. All right. We're going to blow through some of these guys. I know we got to. No, you can't.
Really,
of course.
just really quick. If they're doing any type of surveys or Gallup surveys or anything of that nature, you're, like we had discussed, people are going to say my manager finally listens, right?
Right.
They're finally going to see me. They're finally going to understand. They're not going to be fearful of asking questions. So you're going to see more people doing and feeling empowered, like Mart said. But a lot of times surveys don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So when you ask how you can measure the ripple effect, do some surveys. Don't be afraid to put some questions out there and see the feedback that you get back from your people.
Right. And we kind of talked about this earlier. Somebody asked a question about innovation. I mean, imagine if you can have a team that feels comfortable sharing their ideas. Think about some really great ideas that can come from, that ripple effect. Right. I mean, that's just phenomenal. And then think about, again, that dials back to the whole employee retention. They feel listened, they feel heard, they feel like they can give an idea and nobody's going to shoot it down. And I mean, it just all impacts in like a cyclical way. All right, let's keep going, guys. David asked another question. We're going to let you do it. What qualitative indicators, for example, decision-making patterns, conflict resolution styles, reveal the most about sustained behavioral change in leaders? Ooh, David, good questions.
Mart likes answering David's. Nope, Mart likes answering David's questions. So I'm
no pressure, Mart. None at all. None at all.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in this question. That I
There
think is
really
also
is.
it's also situational. Not every organization is the same, so your priorities might be, different per organization. For one, it could be the decision making, conflict resolutions. For others, it's, for example, the difficult conversations that never happen. Right. This is where Star also kicked in, or what Barbara was talking about earlier in these mid reviews, which sometimes are a nightmare, to go through. Again, where Star can be helpful. So it depends. I hate to say that, right? That's a typical consultant answer. I know, I get it. So I wouldn't really pick one. I would pick the one that is important for you. But when you emphasize on the word sustained behavioral change, again, just keep track of how many of these coachable moments that we have, that I have this past week, and that we have collectively as a team this past week, right? That mirror you would talk about earlier. That's where the sustainability comes in.
Right. And I think that is the most important piece of that. Is it sustainable? Right. And it is sustainable. That's just so impactful. All right. David, thank you for your questions. We appreciate you. All right, let's get to the next one. Here we go. We've got time for a few more, guys. David's asking, are we gonna let David ask one more question? We're gonna allow it. I guess we'll allow
It's
it.
all Mart. It's all Mart.
We're allowing it. David, better sign up for free consultation with Mart so you guys can be.
I love it.
All right.
I love this.
But this is a good question.
David.
So I guess that's why we're picking some of these. So how can we align leadership coaching outcomes with long-term strategic goals? For example, succession readiness, agility, and disruption rather than short-term KPIs. You know what? That's an awesome question, David. So that's why we're allowing it. That's a good one. A really good one. Mart, what do you think?
Oh,
Succession readiness.
David. Yeah. I like David's questions.
You guys should hang
clearly, he did his homework. Appreciate that. Thank you, David. What is important for your organization? I mean, if I read a report that 70-something% of the organizations globally, or was it 80 or something? Anyway, huge number is dealing with issues around empowerment and retention and people not feeling heard. I have to assume that my organization is part of that big number. And if you're not, good for you, right? To me, that is really worrisome because, we spend enormous amount of time and money on hiring people, hiring the right people. I mean, it's an industry. We get that. And I also get it. It's generational, and I get we're not the baby boomers anymore, where everybody stays with the company for 50 years. The truth is somewhere in the middle. So to me, that would be a big one, and to me, that would be strategic, a goal, right? To prepare people and make them feel heard and make them feel seen and so on. And that to me is not a short-term KPI. That's almost like a survival metric. That's dramatic, but I would go that far.
And I'm just gonna my thought, think about it. If you're looking at, if you actually build coaching into your strategy, right? If you're actually building it into your overall strategy, how impactful that is. So if you make it a part of your core culture, because we all have, here's our company's culture, right? What is like, is it part of the strategy of the overall business plan, right? If it is, that's huge.
That's how we manage here.
Right. Yeah. Then you look at your different, KPIs, and you actually put them, kind of roll them up almost into like your actual strategic outcomes. That's huge.
Well, like I was saying, with the consistency in leadership behaviors, right? You have to hear the same language. You have to see the same things across all the departments. So that is part of the strategy, and making sure that things are consistent so it sticks. Because again, if it's not starting from the top, it's like, where does it start?
Yeah. And where do we fall off the mountain? At what point did culture not, just kind of be like an afterthought, right? I mean, culture kind of like, eats strategy for breakfast, right? If you don't define it, then how are you going to measure it? If you don't define what it is, you're not going to measure it. Simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. David, thank you. We appreciate your collaboration here.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you, David. Mart should catch up and,
Okay.
Us out.
You're free to sign off, David. You know, yeah, we know it all now.
Man, you're just in the loop. Okay, another question. And this,
Yeah.
I think we have time for maybe one or two more. We're going to try to get through all these. In what ways could AI, I love this already, in what ways could AI and predictive analytics help identify hidden correlations between coaching interventions and business performance? Try saying that fast. For example, retention innovation rates. So how can AI and predictive analytics help identify hidden correlations? Mart, I know you know this. You're an AI guy.
I think I
AI.
need to open ChatGPT quickly because I think that's David's what everybody's using to come up with these great questions.
David, are you cheating? Using ChatGPT?
Yeah, David.
I was about to say, I'm like,
yeah. Is AI able to help? Here's the interesting part of this question. Again, a lot to unravel in this one. We'd still talk about people. Yes, I'm still talking about how people feel, and I've yet to find that AI model that checks my feelings. I mean, they're getting better, but I don't think they will replace that. So I'm not 100% there yet, as far as where AI can, tap into my brains at the moment. That's where I'm kind of reluctant with this one. But are there correlations between interventions? As in, well, think about when you ask your folks, look at your calendar for the week, right? And how many meetings are on that calendar that actually talk about approvals that maybe can be done differently? The stand-up that Barbara was talking about, right? That went from 30 to 15 minutes, 45 to 15 minutes. These things are measurable. Do we need AI for that? If AI can help, wonderful. Yes, but it can be as concrete as that, as far as did Star help me by asking these powerful questions that we don't need these long meetings or certain meetings at all or certain approvals at all, because people can come up with their own answers because they have proven that.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
Proven.
I'm on the fence with this one.
Right, because it's
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
utilize AI for efficiency, right? Because it's going to help you efficient, but you know,
Yes.
it's just
Oh,
there's
yeah.
like it's kind of a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
mixed bag.
yes.
Yeah, so we'll have to have your think on that one, David. All right. Okay, so we have one last one. Last question, I guess, guys, because we have a ton to try to get through here. All right. Last one is how do we ethically balance quantitative impact data with the subjective, human-centric nature of leadership growth? And we're going to call this the David Show instead of this is now the David Show. David, you have to send him.
I love this, David. These are awesome.
But just so you know, guys know, we get a lot of questions and we kind of pick the ones that are good. I don't pick, I just read them off. But there's, behind the scenes, we kind of pick the good ones and the juicy ones. So David apparently is coming up with some good ones. So again, repeat, how do we ethically balance quantitative impact data with the subjective human-centric nature of leadership growth? Impact data. What do you think?
How does he come up with this? I'd love to learn that model that he's using. Again, so much to unpack.
Did he stump you just now?
I want to keep this simple. Sorry, David. I just want to bring it back to the examples that we've given. We've selected these examples for a reason, since they're straightforward. And yes, there's always subjectivity. I get that. Yes. No metric is perfect. Yes.
Right.
What was that quote again? If you torture the metric long enough, it will eventually confess. Right?
If you torture the metric long enough, it will eventually confess. Is that a quote? That's another teacher.
That's a quote. Yeah, I don't know the person, but that's I guess where I'm going with this. Let's not beat it up and get overboard, and let's keep this simple. If you feel that people feel more empowered, that they have a more of a better work life the work-life balance, that they feel more engaged, that you get the feedback that my manager's finally listening to me. I feel heard.
Right.
Stick to those. Then going down this path of I need, uh, you know, is this subjective? Is it objective? Is it ever perfect? No, it will never be perfect. Yes, these are
Right.
indicators. These are indicators, and
Right.
it's about the trend. Yes, and if it's 21% or 19% or 23%, honestly, I don't care. The trend is it's getting better, and that's what matters. Yes, and again, people need to be at the front and the center of this. And if people feel more heard and more seen and more empowered, and they feel like, hey, I'm going to stick around much longer because I like the change and I'm part of it, that's to me much more important than anything else.
Right. It kind of drives back to the culture, right? So it's like if people
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
like they are
Yeah.
being managed, or can I even say micromanaged by data?
Micromanaged. Yes.
Micromanaged.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to be micromanaged. And essentially, then the culture is
No,
broken. It's broken. It doesn't work. It's broken.
it
It's
is.
broken.
Yeah.
So it's
Trust
like
is
the
gone.
data,
Yeah.
knowing the data, that's important, right? But
Yeah.
the culture is just as equally important.
It very
Right.
much is.
Yeah.
And the retention and everything like that, it actually, that shows the ROI right there. You
Right.
know,
Right. All right, guys, I think we have time for one last question, and then we'll
Okay.
close up. So
Tara.
David, done with your questions for today. Sorry. Tara Donovan, thank you for joining. Again, I'm sorry we didn't get to every single live question, guys. There's just not enough hours in the day. We just kind of pulled out some of the juicy ones. How do you create that psychological safety? Ooh, psychological safety to share ideas, innovate when there is such commercial pressure in a fearful environment? What do you mean, Tara? Are we dealing with a fearful environment? What? This is a great question. Good stuff. Who wants to tackle this one?
how to create psychological safety.
Psychological safety. That is so important. So important.
It is very important. And seeing, I'm not sure if you are the leader or if this is for your leader, but seeing your people, making sure that you ask the questions on, I mean, these are all coachable moments in the way of psychological safety, right? Because when people feel seen, they are less fearful of actually stating what they truly feel, and they will actually start doing. They will become more innovative. They will understand that it is a safe space to give their ideas. And those are all huge for something like this. I know commercial pressure and a fearful environment. Let's be honest, all of us have all of that on our daily, on daily jobs, just because you want to make sure that you are within that data. And like Lory said, yes, it's about the data, but it's about the culture. And when you really focus on that culture versus the data, you're going to see an increase in data, right? And you're going to see the increase in retention and having your people understand and how to be innovative and innovative and enable them. And you're going to see that part rise because you're helping the culture rise. Because people come first. I'm going to be really honest. I'm going to go off on a ledge and a little rant. People come first to start the culture, and then the numbers, and then you get the data and everything of that nature. But once you start that psychological safety to share ideas and create that safe space for them, right? Once you create that safe space, and then you are able to ask those questions, it helps them even with a commercial pressure in a fearful environment.
Right. This may be a terrible analogy, but I kind of see it almost like a pressure cooker. Like you got the top, like take the top off. Because everybody's kind of in that cooker. You got the
perfect
pressure, you got the commercial pressure. Everybody's like, oh my God, we have to perform. But I feel like I can't say anything, with what's going on with, employment.
Exactly.
People they're scared. They don't want to have to feel like they can say what they want to say. But if people can actually believe that they're supported, right? They feel they're supported and that they will, the results will be better and they'll feel safe and kind of empowered. Like, okay, they care about me and my voice. They care what I have to say. And that kind of takes that pressure off. Mart, did you want to say one last thing on this?
Yeah. So quickly, the pressure is always going to be there, right? Commercial pressure. If there's no commercial pressure, you're doing something wrong. So that's to be expected. But when you talk about and thank you, Tara, great question. The fear factor, that's a real concern. This is where there's a cultural challenge in your organization. Having said that, I also want to say it takes something to get something, right? To make this change, instead of just giving the answer very quickly and then they can move on. Yeah. Taking a pause, having a conversation, powerful questions. It feels like, wow, I'm slowing down. I'm not making the progress. But this is what I mean. It takes something to get something. When you do this a couple times, people feel like, oh, I don't have to ask that question anymore. I know the answer because that was the same.
Right.
In other words, then you'll see this actually working. The fear is gone, as in, I'm okay doing this. I'm okay. So again, it's an investment, no doubt about it. But it's also a cultural challenge that you're facing, and you can tackle that with something as empowering as a star model. So, yeah.
Right.
And consistency. It brings consistency.
And consistency.
Yeah.
And
the trust.
Yeah.
Trust.
And trust.
Is huge.
Yes, that's huge.
Trust is huge, right? The trust piece. Yeah, I have it all back. All right, you guys. I think we have sucked up all the time that we have today and as many live pushes as we could get to. Again, thanks everybody for participating in the socials and for kind of seeing us through this. I know we didn't get to everything, so I'm sorry, but we got to what we could. David, thank you for apparently being the star of the star show. So we appreciate you. And again, there's a QR code here, folks, so you can scan this and you get a free coaching consultation. So David, I'm just saying, there's a QR code. If you guys want to hang out, you should do so. We really appreciate everything. Do you guys want to have, we're short on time. I want to wrap up and talk about the upcoming shows. Did you guys want to take, 10, 20 seconds and give a last kind of final thought on what you think about?
Really quick. Yes. I'm gonna make this super quick and sweet. Star is more than a model.
No pressure.
It is. It's more than a model. It's a mind shift, right?
Right.
It's a mindset type of shift that you are able to have. And it gives the tools to lead with clarity and not chaos. So it takes the noise away.
Takes the noise away. I wrote down a bunch of stuff. Take the noise away, clarity, get rid of the chaos. I love it all. All right, now I'll be quiet. Mart, what do you think?
I just want to finish with a quote from Mark Twain. Since we talked metrics, Mark Twain once said, most people use statistics the way a drunkard uses a lamppost, more for support than for illumination.
Okay, say it one more time. Do it one more time.
So most people use statistics the way a drunkard uses a lamppost, more for support than for illumination. So use the numbers.
Wow, that's hilarious. I freaking love it.
Wow.
That is, I think that's, we've heard a lot of quotes. That's one of my favorites. Again, that could be another t-shirt. Barbara, we're going to get on the t-shirt.
Yeah. We are about to kill the t-shirt game.
Yeah. All right, we are running out. We've run out of time. So I just want to take a minute. First of all, Barbara, Mart, can't thank you guys enough. I just love your passion for this, and you guys just know so much about all of it. And I just
thanks for having us.
Thank you to the audience, for joining us today. Thank you to all the producers. There's a lot of people on the back end, guys, tech-wise, socials.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the great questions. Just really appreciate it. And don't forget, over on the APMG International website, you can search for answers to over 3,000 questions, which is a comprehensive free resource that will connect you with over 200 and change experts from all over the world. And don't forget, also, you can listen to all the audio versions of the shows on your preferred podcast platform. As always, you guys are sick of hearing this, but take a minute, comment, share, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. It kind of helps others to discover our content. And then stay tuned, a couple upcoming events. We've got on August 20th, the Future Change Manager, strategist, coach, or therapist. That's going to be an awesome one. And then on September 3rd, we had the leading in the age of AI, human touch versus tech efficiency. That's awesome. That's going to be a good one. And then lastly, we have coming up on September 17th, how to future-proof your career and the skills that will matter most. So again, all these details are on our apmginternational.com website. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next show. Thanks so much. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks, Mart.
Thank you.